I'm trying to recreate the Peaches song from the Mario movie in Mario Maker 2. Okay, I like it, now it's sounding good. But there's only one problem. I literally have no idea how to make a song or how to use note blocks in Mario Maker at all. So today, I'm gonna figure all of that out, learn how to make music myself, and show how you too can make music in Mario Maker. Also, I'll play the whole Peaches song for you at the end after I make it. Let's get started. So if you didn't know, you can create songs in Mario Maker levels through the use of note blocks. These blocks play a sound when some sort of object lands on them, and each object plays a different instrument. You can also change the pitch of the sound depending on how high you place the block in the level. So if you align these blocks in a scale like this, they'll all play their note as each of the blocks load in when Mario walks across the screen. So now, all I need to do is align all of these blocks in the exact position as the Peaches song melody. Yeah, this is gonna be rough, isn't it? The first step was to get the MIDI file for the song, and I found a cover of Peaches from an online music sequencer website made by the user Nerdboy that had this MIDI file download. So now that we have the melody, we can turn it into a Mario Maker level. There's a program called Mario Maestro that makes this process a whole lot easier to visualize. Basically, I uploaded the MIDI file to this program and it told me where I should place these note blocks and enemies to create the song. So boom, easy. I just placed the blocks in the same spot in Mario Maker and the song will play, right? Huh, no. It was never that simple and turned out to be much more complicated. First of all, I've seen a bunch of music levels in this game, and this song is very complex for Mario Maker standards. There is a ton of necessary notes to include to make it sound just right. And since it had such a wide range of notes and sounds, a lot of notes were cut off due to Mario Maker's limited level height. So at first, the main melodies sounded like this. I had to shift these notes into a new octave in order to fit most of them on screen, which basically means keeping the same note, just changing the pitch. So now let's start building this in Mario Maker. At first I used the Goombas to make a grand piano sound, which worked perfect for the song. Bowser's singing was more tricky to find the right instrument for it though. This was because there is a 100 enemy limit in Mario Maker levels. And for the piano part alone, I used like 91 Goombas. The only saving grace for this was that the power-ups didn't count as an entity, so I can use them as Bowser singing. However, my options were much more limited. But in the end, I used a fire flower for this, and it sounded like a recorder. Now this was kinda sounding like the song. However, it felt like some parts were off, like it was skipping certain notes in the melody. And I found out that's because there was an issue where I needed to have two different notes play at the same time, but with different instruments. And there's no way to overlap blocks in Mario Maker. So I looked into this and found many different ways of adjusting the timing so that two different notes play at once as you're walking by. Basically, this was done by having an enemy drop from a block higher, so they hit the note block at the same time as the one next to it that was lower. This is because the enemy on the left loads in first, then falls for a sec before hitting the note block, which matches the enemy on the right that immediately hits the block. Gravity, you know? I even got more precise with the timing by having certain objects fall slower and using parachutes too. And by doing this, the melody was pretty accurate now. I could just leave the song here, but we can get a much closer sound to the actual song if we play around with the notes and sound effects more. This sounds alright, sure, but one problem was that all of these notes were very short, which doesn't translate too well for the parts where Bowser is really going all out and holding those long notes. Like, you know the part where Bowser's literally screaming, "I love you" to Peach in the song? But with these items though, it just sounds like this in game. So I swapped in some of the longer lasting instruments for these parts. The Fire Piranha Plant has this nice string sounding instrument, and the Dry Bones has a flute noise, both of which were held for much longer. There was also these Hammer Bros that had a really sweet electric guitar sound too. So I mainly used these three items to make this song sound a whole lot better. Oh, and I also used the Mecha Koopa's really weird sound for a very passionate part of the song that I thought fit super well. And you'll get to see what that sounds like at the end during the final song. I still did have to keep some of the more short notes though, and that's just because literally all the power-ups had this sound, and I needed to still use some power-ups to deal with the whole 100 enemy limit. Side note, but I really didn't like the Fire Flower recorder sound anymore, so I ended up literally replacing all of them with the Super Mario Bros. 2 mushroom, and it sounded like a violin, which, I don't know, sounded better to me. That's also why I had to change it to the Super Mario Bros. 1 style, cause, you know, Mario World simply doesn't have that power-up. Now it was really coming together, but there were still certain parts that sounded a bit too empty. Like in this section, for example. I played around with the sounds for a while to just make this part sound better, but I eventually used both the Fire Piranha and the Dry Bones and hit a note at the same time to make a really nice secondary sound. So I basically had them go down the scale in a certain part, and I think this really added a nice touch that made this song sound complete. Then I wanted to work more on the visuals of this level. We already got the night sky like the movie scene, which is good, but I wanted to take it a step further and create a bunch of pixel art to match what Bowser is singing in the song, appearing as the player walks by. Kinda like building lyrics for this song. Obviously, I didn't have enough room to write out all the words, so I used symbols and pixel art to represent some of them. Lyrics like Princess Peach at the end of the line, or others like With My Star We're Gonna Rule. And with all the building and all the visual design completed, this is Peaches in Mario Maker.